Hello, friends. Happy Saturday. We are here. Yes, I know you see a lot of familiar faces on that graphic there, some of which you remember from the Ultimate Fighting Championship. But this is not a UFC post-fight show. This is a Misfits Boxing post-fight show because all four of those gentlemen competed today. Darren Till brutally knocked out Luke Rockhold. Cody Ferguson gets his first win in 6 years. We'll certainly be talking about that. And how about Dillon Danis, who also gets his first win in 6 years? That's Misfits Boxing for you. Welcome to the post-fight show here on MMAfighting.com. I am Mike Heck, and joining me to react to what we just witnessed on DAZN. One of the most difficult cards to actually watch because they didn't want to take our money at first, but we got to watch it anyway. Meshew is here, and we'll be here for about 20 to 30 minutes to react to what just happened. Hi, Jed. How we doing?
You had issues paying? I did not have any issues. So I didn't. That's the first I heard about that. They took my money without issue. So at least I hope without issue. If I find out they charged me 6 times, I'm going to be pretty upset about it. But that was some stuff. We saw some things happen. Let's talk about it.
Yes. Let's just say a couple of years from now, Jed Meshew, you're out on the town and someone comes up to you and says, "Oh yeah, you're the guy from MMA Fighting. You probably watched that Misfits Boxing 22 event. Can you tell me about it?" What's the first thing that's going to pop into your head?
I mean, let's say that it's Darren Till, because that probably will be. That won't be the answer for everybody. I'm certain that. I mean, based on the chat, Tony Time, people are very excited about Tony Time. But for me, it'll be the Darren Till one because I've got some issues with the Tony fight. We'll get to that. Look, amazing? No, the powerful left hand has long been the natural predator of Luke Rockhold. It's basically, if you go look at his resume, every single time he lost, it's because he got punched with somebody who can throw their left hand real hard. And Darren Till, for his many foibles, he can throw his left hand pretty hard. But the way it happened was so unique because Luke really was winning that first round very comfortably and then just gets, blasted right at the end. And the fight continued for a while after, but that fight was functionally over at the end of the first round. And then it did that thing that we talk about. We're like, I don't know. The referee certainly shouldn't have saved him. I don't know that his corner should have saved him. Kind of feels like maybe they should have, but I'm not going to get on them for this particular instance. But the end was obvious. I was doing the live blog and I was like, this is just a matter of when and how bad, right? Like, we know what's coming. It is simply a question of what it will look like. And in the end, it looked really bad, Mike. It looked really, really bad for old Luke Rockhold, who got folded up in half like a lawn chair, through the ropes. Just a tough out for him. One of the more violent knockouts you'll ever see. And so I think that'll be the thing I take away from this one.
Yeah, I mean, I as I'm watching this, I'm thinking back to one of our conversations on BTL when talking about Stephen Wynn just beating the holy hell out of Muhammad Yahya. And we're just like, sometimes your corner just needs to step in and just call this a day. Because that referee didn't even know what friggin' day it was, let alone...
He might be the worst referee I've ever seen in sports.
There were a couple on this card that were very, very bad. But man, I mean, after the first round, I was like, this fight should not be going any further because Luke immediately got up and went to the wrong corner. He had no clue where he was. He had no business going back out there and fighting. And then he got dropped again in round 2, and the referee didn't even call it a knockdown. He didn't see the freaking knockdown. So Darren just keeps clobbering him. And then as he keeps clobbering him and hitting him with like a dozen unanswered 100% punches, the referee steps in and just like, it wasn't even like a standing 8, just like separated them. He's like, enough with the punching in a boxing match. Stand over there. And then the round ends, and then the fight is over shortly thereafter with just that vicious knockout. So I think my biggest takeaway is that Darren Till seems to have found his home. I don't want to ever hear that man say, I want to go back to the UFC. he needs to be in Misfits Boxing for the rest of his life and just keep making bags of money and keep knocking out dudes that people like you and I and a lot of people watching this right now know and sometimes loved at some points. And then on the other side, Luke Rockhold should not be fighting ever again. Not in boxing, not he should not be fighting anymore. This is it. I know Mark Goddard put out a little bit of a tweet, and I completely agree with him, Jed. That should be the very last time we see Luke Rockhold in some sort of striking art sanctioned bout, right?
I mean, sure. Like I always think every fighter should retire because you'll make more money doing something else that won't lead to long-term health defects. And like Luke is absolutely at the stage of his career where because like all combat sports is you basically trading health points for money. But like at the stage Luke's in his career, this is like a full-on exchange, like a video game. I will put this many, I will take some out of the health bar to get cash. And so, he's probably not going to stop. And I will say, to your point, Mike, like Darren Till seems to have found a good home for himself. Credit to him. Jairzinho Rosenstrike seems to have found a pretty solid home for himself at Dirty Boxing. Mike Perry and Bare Knuckle, obviously. We're seeing these sort of nascent leagues pop up and certain fighters find a really good home in them. I got to tell you, right? Like, if Luke retired, that's probably long term just the best answer. People shouldn't forget that he did win in karate combat, and maybe just straight up karate combat is a place he can have a little bit more success. Uh, this was never going to go well. That's why this was always weird to me. I know Luke tried to sell it and say I've fallen in love with boxing, but like boxing was literally always the thing he was the worst at in mixed martial arts. And so like going to the skill you are the least good at and have like not a great chin is just and now you're going to fight a southpaw is like a total recipe for disaster. So like I think mostly saw this coming in general, or at least probably thought Darren Till was going to win. I think it would be better if he retired, but if he's not, go to karate combat. Go do the one thing where you've actually won a fight in the last decade, because like maybe that's something you can do. Maybe that is your niche. That in the same way these other people have found theirs.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not going to be one of those things where Luke's just going to rush to retirement. There's money to be made
No
in
chance
some
he's
way in
retiring.
combat sports. So, yes, do karate combat or do dirty boxing, where if you watched
Maybe.
what happened with Brian, well, look, if you watch what they did with Brian Battle last night at Dirty Boxing, Luke Rockhold will look like the greatest thing that has ever lived. Brian Battle fought a dude who had no right fighting anywhere. Probably the worst fighter, pound for pound, on planet Earth. Fought Brian Battle at Dirty Boxing. That fight should not even have been sanctioned by any commission on this planet. Uh, you could throw him in there. I mean, that's fine because Dirty Boxing will probably tee him up a fight that he'll easily win against somebody who's really bad at this. So you could do that. But yeah, I don't want to see him in any sort of like serious fight with anybody dangerous. That's for sure. And on the Darren Till side, Carl Froch is there. I have no interest in watching Darren Till fight Carl Froch. Do you? Like, I want to see Darren in these weird sort of freak show fun fights. I don't want to see him fighting like a real boxer. I have no interest in that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I know what that will look like, and it won't be particularly fun. So, no, yeah, that's the thing. When we're talking about, like, Mike Perry is particularly well suited to bare knuckle fighting, the way he fights. But, like, Darren Till's success in Misfits is that he's getting to fight people he's better than him in a sport he's better than them at. Like, he hasn't had to fight, like, somebody who's better than him. He's fought, and, like, he hasn't even looked lights out in all of those. Right? Like, Anthony Taylor posted today, it was like, I did better than Luke Rockhold, and I'm like 40 pounds lighter than Darren Till. It's like, yeah, Darren Till fought a really small guy. He fought a guy who's not very good, and he fought a guy who can't box and has a bad chin. Like keep doing that. Carl Froch is, he's old, but like you dust him up. That fight makes limited to no sense. So no, he should not do that. He should keep like the end game is very obvious for Darren Till. I don't know why he's trying to call out Carl Froch. Like I am trying to be one of the guys who gets to fight KSI, or I get to fight uh, Jake Paul. Like that's the point and purpose of his game. And losing to a former boxing, champion is not going to help you in that path.
Yeah. I mean, let's just keep
Shit,
doing what we're
try and get
doing then.
Masvidal again, bro.
Hell yeah. Yep.
Like that's a
Yeah.
better chance for you. I don't like the Carl thing was a terrible call out.
No, it's bad. Like, I know there's a history there, but no, like the crowd who was like into everything when that moment happened, they're just like, I don't care. That's just
Yeah,
not what we want to see. We don't want to see Carl Froch in Misfits Boxing. I want to see Darren Till have him fight like Matt Brown or Nate Diaz or Masvidal, like somebody like that. That's fine. Like, let's just keep doing this. What we're doing here is perfect. Anything else
exactly. It's on
is
point.
promotion about practice. Let's talk about Tony Ferguson. I saw a tweet from our old pal Shaheen Al Shadi, Jed Meshew, who said, I never stopped believing Tony Ferguson, 8-fight losing streak, leaves the UFC, enters Misfits Boxing, fighting Salt Papi. And I got to tell you, I'm happy. I mean, you know me. If I'm wrong about something, if I feel a certain way, I'm just going to tell you how I feel. When this fight was announced, I was horrified for Tony Ferguson. I thought we were going to see him laying unconscious on the mat in a pool of blood. This is not going to be good. He was just going to get obliterated by Salt Papi, and we were going to feel real sad about it. And boy, after the first couple of rounds, I was like, yep, we're heading down a pretty dangerous path right now where Tony's just going to keep getting hit very, very hard by this guy. And then all of a sudden, Jed, Tony Ferguson just says, F it. I'm just going to move forward. I'm going to throw a million punches in a row. And he's starting to land a little bit. And Salt Papi's defensively sound at some point. He is getting hit, but he's defending himself. He knows what's happening. He's not rattled. He's not getting bombed on in a really sad, significant way. And then all of a sudden, the referee steps in and says, "Okay, we're done here." And Tony Ferguson freaking wins. And I know I don't know about you, but I was left standing like, what? Like, how did this end like that? Like, Salt Papi was starting to break a little bit. There's no doubt about it, but it just seemed like a super weird stoppage. Like, happy for Tony, but yeah, that was a questionable one.
I love this. There are two ways to view this, right? Like that's the worst stoppage I've seen this year and maybe like ever. It's an indefensible action from the referee. Just it would have been better to simply let the fight continue, much less like intervene and end it. But like if you're gonna end it, it's a standing 8 count. But even then, like just watch it. It's like actually that's Tony's not really landing, he's flurrying. Saul Poppy's there in the corner, and it's not like it went on for a protracted amount of time. And everybody rational can look at them like that is terrible and that's really bad. And the other half of people simply do not care. And if they were trying to be rational, they'd be like, yeah, that's obviously like an absolute crime. It's travesty. But Tony won, and that was it. This is that. People desperately wanted Tony to win. Mostly people desperately didn't want Tony to get hurt, and then he somehow pulls out a win. You saw how much it meant to Tony, fell to his knees crying, right? And so like it's not awful. Like, who cares if Saul Poppy takes his loss, right? Like, this isn't affecting careers in meaningful ways. And so it's one of those things where, like, I think everyone's just not going to care. But that's legitimately that is a travesty of refereeing and total nonsense. Because again, it was a 5 round fight. Like, Saul Poppy had won the first 2 rounds. If you give a standing 8, which still probably wouldn't have even been right, like it's entirely possible that Saul Poppy just sort of comes back, he wins a round, like this goes, he wins a decision, but nobody cares and nobody wants to care. Of like nobody is trying to look at this as like a sport because it's not. And who wants to? They are trying to look at this as Jed, shut the fuck up. Tony finally won. Don't pee in my Cheerios. Tony won a fight for the first time since the first Trump administration. Let us have good things. And so that's fine. Y'all can have it. But I will just say like that was an absolute garbage stoppage.
It was atrocious. It was very, very bad. As Team MMA, we're thrilled again to see Tony get a win, and you saw the clips, the emotion that came over him getting a win. It's a very big deal. If you're a Salt Papi fan, you are like, what in the freaking hell is going on here? If you actually had the stones to bet on this fight card and you had a Salt Papi bet, you're really pissed off right now at the stoppage. So that's why we don't bet on Misfits Boxing, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, that stoppage was so bad that my first inclination was that it was a straight up work. And then I realized that actually that referee is just atrocious. But like it it's genuinely indefensible to be like the fight is over because the man had his hands up and was defending. Like if you want to stop and call a standing 8 count, fine. But it's like not rational by any stretch of the amount. Like, look what the fuck just happened to Luke Rockhold, bro. There wasn't a standing 8 count in that, and he was getting just plunked around the ring like a pool ball, you know? So like it is indefensible. My first reaction was like, man, it feels like he might have done this to get Tony a W. And then you go back and watch, you're like, actually, this referee just has no idea what he's doing. Like, was like utterly incompetent. So incompetent that they had to do the fighter announcement twice because the first time when it was announced that Tony Ferguson won by TKO, he didn't raise Tony's hand up, and it led to Ben trying to interview Tony and Tony being like, let me get my hand raised. And Ben's just like, oh, I guess you should do that. We already declared you the official winner. This referee is fucking incompetent. So never put to malice what you can put to incompetence. The referee is obviously a moron and has no idea how to do his job, and he did a really, really poor job of it.
Speaking of doing things like a moron and doing a very, very poor job, but maybe this was like the job to begin with. Warren Spencer steps into the ring with Dillon Danis, Jed, in a mixed martial arts bout. And of course, Warren is not a mixed martial artist. He is a guy who has had boxing matches mostly on the influencer scene or for some promotions you have never heard of. And he takes this opportunity and the fight starts and Dillon hits him and he throws a couple of punches. And then Warren Spencer does like literally the only thing you can't do and does it like 5 seconds into the fight. And he tries to grapple with Dillon Danis. And Danis immediately just chucks him to the ground, mounts him, and gillies him. And the fight is over in 15 seconds. Not a bead of sweat left Dillon Danis's brow. 15 seconds. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Is this just to set up Dillon versus Tony? Like, what was the point of even having this on the card? It's so silly, but funny as hell.
They got Dillon to accept a fight, and he did. And I'll say, look, credit to Dillon Danis. You know, he's always been good at keeping his name in the headlines. He's did a great job of that this week, and then did something I absolutely did not expect. He put Tony over, like which is great fight business because he was like a really good chance he beats Tony at this stage. But Tony was asked about it. Clearly, they were trying. Misfits is trying to set up a Dillon versus Tony fight, very obviously. And so Tony was asked specifically about it. Tony was like, money talks. Dillon was already in the ring, comes up, gets the mic, is like, hey, man, congrats on your win. Doesn't do any shenanigans, right? Like, no nonsense from Dillon Danis, which is like maybe the first time you ever heard that statement uttered. It's just like, hey, man, great win. Congrats on it. We should do it in MMA. Tony clearly is kind of like, on it. He's like, down the line sometime later, but congrats. I'm going to get out of here. Like the first time we've ever seen Dillon Danis be classy. And also Dillon Danis is out here like setting up a potential freak show fight with Eddie Hall. Like, right? Like he managed it really well. Warren Spencer did what he was supposed to do. He jobbed like hell, got over. That they want to be in the Dillon Danis business, and they are. You know, maybe one day KSI fights him in MMA. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, unequivocal winning weekend and week for Dillon Danis. And, you know, Warren Spencer did his job.
Yeah. Dillon told our Jose Youngs that, he wants to prove to the UFC that, hey, I'm not a liability. I can do these fight weeks and like, sure, I can stir shit up to like sell pay-per-views, but I'm not going to do what I did with the Logan Paul fight and just embarrass the promotion or do anything like that. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to stir the pot in a promotional sense, not in an embarrassing situation, and seems like he did that. He did a pretty good job this week. And apparently Dillon and Tony are on stage together at the post-fight press conference. Jose actually spoke with both Tony and Dillon Danis, and you can go check those out on the YouTube channel right now. He was in the locker room, spoke with both of them, and Dillon and Tony apparently have gone to the post-fight press conference together on stage. So perhaps we will be discussing a potential matchup. So, all right, those are like the big talking points. We did have like truly the funniest fight of the year.
Oh, that fight rocks,
Right
dude. That
before.
fight was fun as hell, man.
Oh, let me. I just want to make sure I have this right. Joey Essex and what's his name? Numero. That fight was
That fight was
incredible.
awesome, man.
It was the boxing influencer boxing version of Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Just
Dude,
two gassed up dudes getting hurt all the time, but still punching for
it's the
however
bar
hours
fight.
pass.
It's like the platonic ideal of a bar fight of two dudes who have no concept for how to actually fist fight, and suddenly they're fist fighting. Like that's like the whole like rough and rowdy idea was built on that fight, and that fight was awesome. It was fun as hell. It was incredibly stupid, and it was awesome.
Yes. All right. We'll take a few questions from the peeps before we get on out of here. Casey is here.
Oh, already? All right.
Let's do it.
Hi. All
Yeah,
right.
we
We got
look,
things to do, Casey.
yeah, listen, you know,
CJ
Ty
has
Mitchell and
we got stuff.
yeah, I mean, look, we're not going to spend time talking about Ty Mitchell and Sean Hemphill fighting each other. It was a good boxing match, but we don't want to see good boxing matches on Misfits Boxing. We want to see chaos.
Yeah. All right. Super chat from our friend
It's
Old
really
Dave, and he's been very adamant about this. So much so he $10 super chatted us to make sure we get this opinion across. But here we go.
I've seen it. He's not correct.
Love you guys, but bad. Take care. Stoppages like that happen in boxing all the time. Common narrative is referees should err.
Dude, he called the standing 8 count literally two fights before with guys who had less experience than Salt Papi. Like it's a bad like.
This is one of the worst takes we've had all year. I'm sorry, Old Dave. I love you, but this is truly one of the worst takes.
It was bad. It was a very bad stoppage.
But nobody cares, right? Like I care about it in the principle of it, but I'm not like this needs to be overturned. It's a bad stoppage of a nonsense fight on a circus event. Like it's fine for that, like as long as that's where the bad stoppage is. But you don't have to carry water like John Milkey or whatever his name was good at his job. He was objectively terrible at it. But if you're gonna be bad at your job, that's the way to be it. I like if he had done, think of it this way, if he had done it the other way, if that's Salt Papi's win over Tony, everybody would have been losing their mind because they would have been like, man, Tony might have had a chance. And it's just a bad stoppage. That's okay. We don't have to harp on it, but it's a bad stoppage.
Yeah, it was very bad, but it's okay. Tony won, and
Tony won. We got the outcome 95% of people wanted. Did you hear that crowd? I know that they were actually pretty lively for both. But Tony was the A side. People wanted it. They got it.
Yep.
Shaheen Al-Shadi can finally go to sleep and sleep a full night. He hasn't done that in years.
Jed, we could potentially be ending 2020.
If you think I'm gambling on Misfits, you are outside your goddamn mind. There's not a chance in hell I'd put money on these things.
100%. Jed, we could think about what Shaheen Al-Shadi is thinking right now. Think about this. And you know, this in the back of your mind, you're thinking about this as well. We could end the year of our Lord 2025 with a Tony Ferguson win and Mackenzie Dern as a UFC undisputed champion. Shaheen, it would be the best year of Shaheen's
Mackenzie Dern thing. His hands were down, Dave.
I know. I think Dave's talking about a different fight.
He was literally defending. He defended 75% of the punches.
Yes, he got punched. That's boxing.
He knew exactly where he was the whole time.
His head never kind of went and did that thing. Yeah, I was like,
he knew exactly where he was the entire time.
And then when we saw the replay, it looked even worse, honestly.
Yeah, he literally. I'm watching a man who's seeing every punch coming, and he's getting his arms up. And sure, there's a few that landed, but like nothing hurt him. His eyes did not glaze over in any way. But oh well.
So you're using "they're" wrong. Incorrect
All right,
there.
that's all right. There's always one person, and that's okay.
But it doesn't matter. Tony won, and Shaheen Al-Shadi tonight will be the best dinner of Shaheen Al-Shadi's last 4 years. That apple pie, like the apple crumble that his wife made that he's been saving, they're breaking. He said, "Honey, go to the freezer, break out that special dessert. It's time." Tony Ferguson won a fight. He's experiencing a joy that I was ready to experience until DDP got laid on for a long time. And I'm so happy for him.
Bust out the 30-year-old scotch. Let's go.
All right. One more question from Joe Medina.
Is Tony a smart choice for KSI's MMA debut? No, because Tony will beat KSI in an MMA fight. So I don't. KSI is not going to put himself in a position where he will
not
probably.
The worst choice.
It's a bad choice for KSI, right? Good choice for Tony.
It's a worse choice for KSI.
I don't know that it's a bad choice for KSI. I mean, Tony should win that fight, certainly, but Tony looked old. Credit to him, for walking through some. Tony just looked because he's 43. He's an old man. So there are worse opponents you could pick. Dillon Danis is probably worse for KSI to fight in MMA than Tony.
Oh yeah, but
so it's just if
we're choosing
KSI's gonna fight MMA, KSI just shouldn't fight MMA. But you could do a lot worse than Tony.
Yeah, it's way better. It's way better.
If you lose to Tony Ferguson. Everybody will be happy about it. Exactly. No one will care. So honestly, if he's gonna do MMA, that might be the move.
Yeah, he just shouldn't do MMA. He just shouldn't do it.
He should absolutely not.
Yeah. You know what? He should do it against Warren Spencer. Let's do that. Go do it against Warren Spencer, KSI. Do it Dillon Danis did. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good.
I think we've hit all the major talking points here.
I had more fun than I thought I'd have tonight. I'll say that.
I had more fun watching this than. Well, I mean, I had fun watching Dirty Boxing last night, but Jesus Christ. Let me just say something to the Dirty Boxing folk. It's a very important lesson, and it's one the UFC refuses to learn, but you really need to learn this lesson. Doing a 15-fight Dirty Boxing card is absolutely insane. Do not ever, ever do that again. We should not be watching Dirty Boxing for 6.5 hours. It should be 8 fights at the most, maybe 10, and get us out of here because it was absolutely insane. There are things that I liked. There are things that I certainly did not like. But the thing I disliked the most, 15 fights. This thing would not end. And it ended in a cool way, but 15 fights is way too many. So I will leave you with that.
Yeah. So
less than the.
I would say this for my first time actually watching a Misfits card, really watching it, not just clips or whatever. I get the appeal. That's all.
No, dude, they do good production. I've been on Misfits, dude, for most of its existence. They do a lot of really good things.
Yeah, it's just not for me, but they're clearly not for me, and that's fine. So yeah.
They don't. I don't agree with all their decisions. Certainly, a lot of their fights aren't for me, but they do. These are obviously real professionals putting on a promotion. It appeals to a certain demographic, and I had a lot more fun tonight than I thought because I just wasn't that interested in the big fights, but they ended up being okay.
Yeah, it was never boring. It was never just boring. Yeah, so good job.
Yeah, the only thing that was the only thing that was somewhat boring was the highest level fight on the card, and it wasn't it was just because this is not why we're here. But two very good boxers had a really good technical boxing match, and people were booing it.
But they also did a thing that I always really appreciate. The Misfits is really good about this. They do not lie to you. They lie. Every promoter, every commentator lies a little bit, right? Overselling things. But the UFC will just their commentary team will just tell you something is good when it sucks. The Misfits team was whoever the dude was asking is So some people are tuning into this, and this is terrible, and they're hating every bit of it. What do you say to them? Like, it's like, yeah, they're pretty honest when the fights are stinkers, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
All right, and just one more super chat. I'm not. I don't even know.
Their equals
Correct.
possessive. Their contraction. They are. Their
Correct.
positional location. Call attention to. Being a lawyer makes you redline everything.
I usually don't call people out on it, but when your take is bad and you do the same one twice, I'll give anybody one free pass. If you do it twice within 7 words, get your theirs right, baby.
I mean, what
All
a
right,
way
we
to
got to
end
get
it.
out of here.
All right. Thanks, all. Appreciate you. Yeah, we're just a little. I mean, this is literally the staff for the rest of the night, really, in terms of getting all this stuff done. So, AK's gonna be back in a couple of days, and Damon's gonna be back, I think, in a couple of weeks. So he's on vacation next.
Congratulations to Damon Martin and the Ohio State Buckeyes who defeated Texas today.
Yes, well done.
And congratulations to the University of Georgia Bulldogs who defeated mighty Marshall 1-0.
Wow, I mean, really just setting the tone with the difficulty meter. I mean, just classic college football. College football. Yes, Randy Moss was not walking through that door, I can assure you. But thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Casey for Jed. I am Mike Keck. We're out of here. Have a great rest of your Labor Day weekend, everybody.
Love you all.